Can you see that?
Recording? I see
I
it.
think I think we're fucking recording. Welcome to the Nicky B and Joey P first ever edition, first ever episode. I don't even know what to call it. Here we are. I got my boy Nicky B. It's his fucking birthday right now.
Nicky B in the
It's it's
house.
it's a it's a great day. Obviously, you can tell there's going to be some cussing on this podcast.
Fuck
Just
it.
to start it out, fuck it. This is a very low production. We're on Zoom right now, just to give you guys a little bit of background. So we're just gonna kick it. We just started recording. We're gonna have a little conversation. I don't know, Nick, you got anything to say to the people?
Nah.
All right, we're done. All right, we're done. But no, tell them how this idea even came about.
Shoot. Here's what I'd say is I think we just conversate so much, and you have a good conversation and it's kind of like, man, I wish that was recorded, or I wish so and so was here to chime in or whatever. And I think a lot of great interviews are just great conversations, and nobody I'd rather conversate with than my boy Joey P. So yeah, I think we were just driving to the airport one day, and we just said, you know what, let's get the podcast going. So here we are. Don't expect anybody to listen to it, but we're gonna have a good time making it. So let's get into it.
That's the mindset. We've talked about different things, and in today's age, content creation and stuff like that. And we were in the car the other day, actually, when I was visiting Nick for his birthday, 28, 27.
Dude, come on, man. All right,
28th birthday.
Let's just get right into it, because I have a question for you to start things off.
No, okay, well, okay. Go. Fine, go.
I'm gonna go. I'm going.
All right.
So, as you were saying, here for my birthday, I'm 28 today. You've been here for my last 3 birthdays, and I think you've now made a vow to be here for every birthday. So my question to you is, why do you like traditions so much? Because I know you also have the Final Four tradition, which you can elaborate on, but I'm curious why traditions are so important to you. Do you have
I never even really thought about why traditions are important to me. I'm just like, for specific reasons, I guess. Well, I guess they would be the same reason. For the Final Four, I've been to the last 4 Final Fours, I guess, since my sophomore year in college when we played there in the manager games. And I kind of just
Wait, what about with
like,
your dad? I thought you've been to a whole
well,
bunch.
yeah. No, I've been to a bunch for sure, but the last 4 consecutive years I have
Oh,
been.
okay.
I
I thought you've
started
been to
out.
like 12 in a row or something.
No, not 12. No. I started, my first Final Four was the championship, 2008 San Antonio, which that just like, sparked the bug under me. That's a story for another time. But anyways, I went to a few here and there after that, and then I think we went to the one in Dallas. But in my sophomore year of college is when I really started. That's when we went the first year that the manager games Final Four happened in Phoenix, and we drove out there, in a Sprinter van, all of us managers. My man, shout out Diego, shout out Jeremy Berman, shout out all those motherfuckers. That was one of the best trips of my life. And shout out Corey, Austin Orca. Anyways, yeah, and then after that, I literally just made a promise to myself. I said, you know what, I work in sports. There's no excuse for me not to be here every single year. And I think where the tradition comes is not so much more tradition, it's just like staying true to your word. So I think like that's one of the biggest things. I try and pride myself on staying true to my word, and like, keeping promises and things like that. So same thing with you. After the second year, I think I was like, shit, might as well just fucking make this a tradition. And your mama Bovine said the same thing. She said, come on out every year. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna make a promise to myself. I'm gonna say I'm gonna be there for Nick's birthday every year, wherever it is. So I got you, brother. I got you, and that's why I like traditions so much. What's your take on traditions? You got any superstitions or anything like that, tradition wise? Is that the
So
answer that you expected from me?
That's about on par because you're very like your word, I think, means a lot to you.
I think
Why?
so.
I'm because like, all right, because I just think it's like people just say things all the time. You know what I mean? People are like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like that'd be fun, or yeah, I'd love to do that, or this, that, and the other. And
Yeah.
like 99% of it's bullshit, you know. But like when
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Joey P, do you want to you want to come, to Colorado next weekend? And you're like, yeah, dude, yeah, let's do that. And then you like look up flights and then you're here, and so it's like I guess I'm just trying to peel that back a little bit because I think you do have a lot of resolve there, which is
Yeah. I mean,
interesting.
I don't know where I got that from, honestly, but I've seen relationships break down, and I've seen how, people look at some other people when that person is not like true to their word, or like, I think reputation is a big, key, and especially like what I do for work. Um, and like just like I try and have a good reputation amongst my friends as well in everything I do. So I think, if you say something and then, people just blow it off, like that just becomes, or you say something and then you just blow it off, and don't like follow through, like no one can believe you really, like anything you say. So like, especially, I mean, I have some friends that I know as soon as they say, yeah, like I'll come whatever to whatever function you have or something like that. I'll be in town next weekend or
Bullshit.
something like that. Bullshit. Yeah. Is
Yeah.
immediately in my head. Bullshit. Like
Yeah.
I know for a fact. And it's just like, I know that's like, what some people do. And like, I'm not like, I'm not judging them off of that. It's just not something that I want to do. And it's not something that I want people to think of me when they ask me to do something or when I say something. So that also goes into like, trying not to, overstate like things, or like, the impossible, or things like that. Obviously, like, I'm not gonna say, well, I mean, you could say, I'm gonna fucking go to the moon or whatever, but that'd be like Elon Musk or something, like saying like some wild shit and then actually doing it. But it also kind of ropes you into like what you can actually do and stuff like that. But I truly do believe that I can make it wherever you're at for every single one of your birthdays going forward. And I truly do that. I believe that I can make it to every single Final Four, going forward. Barring some catastrophic thing. And I'm gonna do everything in my power, to do that. It's not gonna just, if I do ever miss one of those things, it's gonna be something where I'm gonna get fired from my job if I go, and I still might go. I physically can't do it. Like I'm incapable, like capacitated, just like just out of it, or I my flights, all the flights get canceled and I'm halfway there driving or some shit like that. And then my car breaks down. I can't make it.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. So
that's
you hit me. All right. So you hit me with a few thoughts here. So the first thing I'm thinking of is there's this great book. Have you read the book The Four Agreements?
I've heard of it, and I actually have it. I have not read it.
Really good. You should read it
Yeah,
before
no,
next
I've
podcast. We can talk about it.
it's been highly recommended by multiple people, especially
Yeah, it's really good. I kind of
Texas
thought it was
basketball
like going to be
circle.
one of those like foo-foo, like just like just too self-helpy, when you get like those kinds of books. And it wasn't. It was real good. And the first rule, so it's basically four rules, like the four agreements you make with yourself. And there's four rules, to like live a good life, fulfilling life, purposeful life. And the first one is be impeccable with your word, which basically means just tell the truth. But also, I'm glad you kind of said this, like the importance of, you kind of, I guess, said it in a different way. I'm going to say it, of using your words to empower yourself. You kind of almost said it like to like keep yourself grounded, I think, which are, those are like two sides of the spectrum. But I'm more saying it in terms of like using, where like you say that to yourself and to me, and you say it enough times, like, hey, I'll be there for the birthday. And like, you're going to make it happen. And so it makes me start thinking about like, well, what else could you do with that power? And it's just the power of your word, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to, X, Y, and Z, I'm going to work out today, or I'm going to work out every day this year. I'm going to eat good, or I'm going to read every day. I mean, I feel like the list goes on and on and on. And I'm wondering how we get from saying that enough times to actually doing it. You know what I mean?
And I think specifically for those two cases that we've, brought up, it helps me when I have other people counting on me. Um, if you tell a bunch of people you're going to do something, then you don't want to let them down. And I think that's a big reason because, I set goals, personal goals, and, to do things. And, I've washed on some of those before. But
Yeah.
I've also, done a lot of stuff that I've said that I'm going to do, like recently I said I was going to work out 30 days straight. I completed that. We did the Goggins challenge. I did that. You know what I mean? Like we said we were going to do, I guess that would be, two people, because I let you know about it. And I let some other people know about that workout thing, but some like internal stuff, where I say like I need to get back on a routine or something like that. And another day goes by where I'm not doing it. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not 100%. I'm not shooting 100% for sure. And I noticed that, when you involve people, when you tell people, that kind of helps me, keeps me accountable. And I think that's like pretty standard. People say that all the time, tell people, what you
Yeah.
want to do and stuff like that.
See, you and I are different there though, because I think I'm less that and more like I want to build a base of doing this on my own before I even mention it to people. I feel like I do that much more. And I feel like a lot of the important habits I've developed in my life, I've done more solitary.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like where maybe people are just different. I don't know. Because I
Yeah.
totally understand like this social accountability thing. And like, but I've also found myself like I tell people things and then I don't do it, and then I almost
Yeah.
feel worse about it. It's like this weird, like, but I guess that's part of the deal is like you tell people, you're going to feel bad if you don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I try not to, like, obviously, like I said, I try not to say stuff that I don't think that I can do, which, might honestly be hurting me. But I'm just I'm almost like I'm almost afraid to let people down, when I tell people stuff. So like, and it just goes back to that. I just like, I try to stay true to my word with other people and stuff. But I wish I could do it more with myself, because sometimes I have this like, my self talk and stuff like that. It just gets pretty pretty bad, or pretty low down in the dumps when I'm
Poopy
when I
pants.
set yeah, when I set something up, and then I like just I just don't do it. Like if I say I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. for the next week or whatever, I don't do it. Then I'm just like in my head the whole day, like, this day is not productive, you're not gonna do anything, you're procrastinating, blah blah blah. Stop it. Like, what are you doing? Like, you need to do some shit, and usually I end up just taking a nap.
Classic. So that's so you remind me of a few things there that I think are like very, very thought provoking. So here's my first thought is like, don't you think, and because it's so funny you say that, and I think it's important to hear that because you're like one of the most positive guys I know, right? You're just like a happy go lucky. Everybody loves Joey P, right? Everybody. And so it's like, to hear that where it's like, oh man, even in his own head, he's a little tough on himself is interesting to me. Um, just that's an aside. All right. But like, I think the idea of just saying you fall down, let's say you're trying to wake up early and you don't. And it's like, okay, I didn't do that today. But it's instead of no, I didn't do this, it's more of a not yet. I didn't get to this. You know what I mean? It's like a minute by minute thing of you're always moving towards whatever this goal or thing you want to achieve is, right? And then you get there and then you do another one and you're continually, and it really is minute by minute. I mean, you've seen how a thought can spiral like from
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm gonna be all right. So like, oh, that was bad. Oh, this is bad. And next thing you know, you're like, you're just in this place you never thought you'd be, in terms of negativity, down in the dumps, I think you said. So it's interesting to me how like, you know, that can be a scary thing. It can also be really empowering where it's like, boom, this next minute, I'm just going to change this, or this next day, I'm going to change this. And now I'm moving in the right direction, which takes a lot of energy sometimes to stop that negative momentum. But I don't know. I think it's like, gosh, we're getting kind of in the weeds here, but like, like how everything has these two sides, where it is like there's this empowering side and there's this disabling side, and it's like, which one are you going to choose?
Yeah. No, I mean, self-talk is huge. I'm sure you've done more reading on it than I have, so you got a little base knowledge. But I mean, everybody knows, how powerful the ego. Well, maybe not everyone, but like without even knowing it, the ego is, and your self-talk and the voice in your head is just, controlling your life at some parts. Some people go their
You
whole
got a
lives
book there?
without even know. Yeah.
You gonna
So
hit me with the passage?
I was gonna say I just read
Preach! Let's go.
chop wood, carry water.
Penavaria's passage. Here we go. Hit me.
Well, I mean, I was trying to find it, but let's see, what do we got here? It just talks about self-talk, and it talks about fuel for your heart. So like, the stuff that we're talking about, empowering and things like that. It talks about six things that are good fuel. And good fuel is encouragement, and opposite that is discouragement. So it talks about six different things, like what you watch, what you read, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with, how you talk to yourself, and what you visualize. So like those six things right there, can go either way. You could be watching something good, you could be watching something toxic, you could be reading something good, you could be reading something toxic, you could be listening. So anything like, and I think the biggest one is how you talk to yourself, and that kind of varies day to day, that kind of varies situation to situation. But that's what fuels your heart, and that's what fuels, that's what fuels your drive, that's what fuels your ambitions, that's what fuels your relationships, everything, I think. So like, it all comes from your
Hit me with
heart.
those six again, real quick. What you watch, what you read.
What you watch, what you read, what you listen to, who you surround yourself with, how you talk to yourself, and what you visualize.
Who, self-talk. All right. Hey, real quick. You said do you think self-talk is the most important one?
I do, yeah. Because I think that's constant. It's always with you.
All right. Rank those six real quick. Most important to least important. In terms of your personal well-being, I'm curious.
How you talk to yourself. I would say who you surround yourself with, and then what you visualize, what you watch, what you listen to, and what you read. And I only say what you read last. I think these are all important, is because I only try and pick up good books, you know what I mean? And I'm not looking at newspapers or something that I think is pretty toxic. And same thing with listening to and watching stuff.
I know you're on the Twitter though.
Yeah, would that be?
You're reading the Twitter.
That is true. That is true. I am on Twitter, so I might have to rethink that. I didn't have a lot of time to I didn't even think about the news feed and social media. I am on Twitter. Hopefully I mean, we can get into social media if we want to. I think it's the most addictive thing of our society right now.
All right, well, let's save that for another time.
Okay.
I'm gonna turn. Everybody's gonna hate me after I talk about social media. So
I think we have pretty similar views on it. So it'll just be
we could get like a Instagram floozy on here.
Yeah, we should.
That could be good. A lot of them.
My boy Logan. My boy, yeah.
I'm not talking about Logan.
But he's an influencer. He says it, and like he has a different perspective on it. He makes money off of that, and I've told him, I say, like, I'm all about people, making money off of Instagram, making money off of social media and stuff like that. If you have a business on it, and that's what he does, like he built his business on it, and he helps other people build their businesses on it. So I think he'd be the perfect person to get an opposite perspective on that.
That'd be good.
And I stayed with him for months in Austin, and like I've had conversations with him, and like we definitely butt heads on some things when when I see him on his phone all the time, and like the stories that he's posting and things like that. But then again, he also this is how he makes money, and he's been able to separate some of it and figure out like a schedule. And like I think the biggest thing is like just the the constant comparisons. Well, but we're getting into it. Like let's save it for another one when we bring him on. I think that's a good idea.
That'd be good. We'll add him to the guest list. We got a long and ever growing guest list. We got to get to.
Speaking of how, I guess we haven't even really figured out how do we want to do this. I think we're just gonna. I guess we'll just pop up another little Zoom square and just bring someone in. Like, are we gonna do? We're gonna do a front of show. Are we gonna do like intros, or should we do ads? Like, I don't even know. How does this work? Like, what are we?
Yeah,
There's a lot to
ads are
figure out.
ads are gonna work with 4 people watching. Nobody's paying for 4 people, so and it's
Who
gonna
do
be
you
your
think is
mom and
gonna?
my mom.
I
No,
know
my
that's
mom
what
won't
I'm
even watch.
saying.
Yeah. All right, all right, all
That's
right.
what I was thinking at the beginning. I was like, should we introduce ourselves? But then I was like, we don't need to introduce ourselves because the only people who are gonna watch this are gonna be
Yeah,
people who know both of us.
yeah. Which brings me to another important point that we could talk about for hours. Nobody gives a shit. All right. Let's just talk about that for a sec. And I mean
Nobody
that
gives
in
a
the most
shit.
positive way possible. I heard this once from some dude, and I thought he was the most negative guy ever. And then the more I think you live, the more you're just like, everybody's kind of living their own life. You know
Who
what I
did
mean?
you hear that from?
So I was coaching basketball for this girls club here in Denver. And he literally was like, I forget what he said to these like 16-year-old girls, but he just like had them in a huddle and he was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna break something to you right now. Nobody gives a shit. Like nobody gives a shit. He kind of even might have said like nobody gives a shit about you, this, that, the other. I don't really remember, but I remember walking away thinking like, damn, that was like really harsh. And but I now understand more fully what he was saying, where I mean, what he was getting at was like, look, everybody's got their own shit that they're dealing with. If somebody gets upset at you, it's their own stuff. It's not yours, and like all of your problems and everything, like you can bring them all up and bring them on the table, but like 99% of people aren't going to give a shit and they're probably just going to dislike you because of it. And I mean, like, again, it sounds a little harsh, but what I'm getting at is like everybody's got issues, and everybody's got things they're dealing with. And if you're going to just sit here and complain at me all night, well, I'm just going to leave, and like
Yeah,
everybody knows that person that's got to bring up everything that's wrong with them,
yeah,
but it's like, so what, like
no,
it's like somebody, goes to the pool and they're with 5 other people and it's sunny out and nobody wears sunscreen. Everybody gets sunburnt, but one person's complaining about their sunburn all day, you know? It's like
everybody's got the same sunburn.
everybody's got the sunburn, man. So STFU, you know what I mean? Um, but no, I think it's interesting. And I think like, again, bringing that to like there's all these levels, right? Where like that could draw you away towards, reticence and into your own little hermit hole, or it can kind of draw you out where it's like, oh, I got some stuff going on, but like, you know what? My sister probably has stuff going on. My mom probably has stuff going on in her life too. Some of us are really good at masking that stuff where, you have the happy-go-lucky guy that's probably, has a lot of stuff going on at home. And it's like, just being aware of that, super, super important.
Yeah,
I think both for us and then as we interact with other people, I think that's something that can help.
yeah. No, I mean, you brought up the point of just being aware. I think self awareness is huge, and just that's a big part of it, and having empathy for other people where they have problems as well. But um, I try never to burden anyone that I don't really have a good relationship with any of my issues. But that also gets into like vulnerability and
Just
like
gonna say that two sides of
yeah,
the coin.
so it's two sides because how are you ever going to build those relationships if you don't become vulnerable with someone? And that's not necessarily complaining, but bringing up issues and stuff, and like having conversations with people is part of that, and like breaking down those barriers and things like that. So I think there's a time and a place for it. I think you are right. Like everyone's dealing with something. Um, so your problems aren't more important than anyone else's, and it's always good to remember that when you're going through something, because not only is everyone else dealing with something, but there's also been countless of people in probably at the same time and in the past who have dealt with the same exact thing. So like you're not alone in that. So you know what I mean, like the world doesn't revolve around you, or like that's not the only time this has happened, and things like that. So like it's a perspective thing, and like I think being aware of those kind of different things is really important, and it can help you even get through some of those things. So there's different tools that you can use in regards to that. But yeah, back to like the uh the vulnerability thing. I don't know, I feel like you're pretty good with that, I look to you as, kind of a role model in building relationships and showing, compassion and empathy and stuff like that. So I kind of just want to get your take on that, and like, how you initially, I mean, you did it with me, back in whatever 5 years or 4 years or what it was, 3 years ago, when we, first met in the equipment room, and then we went on that first 8 mile run, and you kind of just broke me down. I was in a vulnerable spot. I said that I could do the 8 miles, and back to staying true to my word. I was trying my best, but I was hurting, and I was pretty vulnerable then. But you kind of just dug into me and asked the right questions, and that's kind of what started our relationship and, our friendship. And I'm just kind of curious on who taught you that, where'd you learn that stuff, and like what your kind of
Mm.
look on that is.
All right. Relationships. Number one relationship advice is the more money you have, the more friends you will have. That's gotta be true.
Yeah,
Gotta
no,
be
I
true.
100%,
So,
100% believe
if
that's
you can
true.
just pay them enough money, you'll have a lot of friends. Uh, but no, I mean, I don't know. It's a great question.
I mean,
I
where
just
did
try
you
to
learn that? Like, from, you think it's from your mom? You think it's from reading? You think it's from?
here's what I would say. I mean, and like I don't think I'm like I don't know. I try to be myself. I think that's important. I think I think anybody can spot a phony, so I
Yeah,
do try to be myself. And I would say, one of the most important things for me is to give into a relationship. I don't like, I think so often people just ask in
mhm,
relationships, and they just want to withdraw, and I mean that in like a very tangible, like they want to withdraw energy from the other person. Time is the big one, right? Where it's just expected that, oh well, we're kind of friends or acquaintances, so you owe me all this time, and understanding that in fact it's the opposite. I think the easiest way to quickly build a relationship is just to give to the other person in any way, and don't ask for anything. And it could be spending a little bit of time here. It could be sending them a text message. It could be making a phone call. All those little things are little acts of giving that add up over time. And then once you get into, like, I think, a really uh long relationship where now all those things maybe aren't so novel. Now the giving is like, well, I'm spending tonight with you, and I'm going to be fully present with you. I'm going to be here for the entire 3 hours that we're together. I'm not going to be on my phone texting somebody else, where I'm now taking away your time that we're supposed to be spending together. So I think if
mhm.
you can even, we talked about it like it's a minute by minute thing, right? Like this life we're living in, like same thing with the relationships that you're in and you're building. Like, how can I give to this other person? How can I be um useful and impactful, and help this other person? I think is to me really important, and I try to do that. It's one of those things where, like I said, a lot of times you get so caught up in I get so caught up in my own stuff, it doesn't really happen like that. But do my best, definitely. you know
I think you do a really good job of it. And like I said, I try and emulate the things that you do. And it's just different things with you. It's like, the little, texts here and there that I'm not expecting, or, the phone calls, the consistent, phone calls, checking ins, things like that. But it's like genuine, you know what I mean? It can't just be a check off the box. Like, you can't just, because people, like you said, people spot phonies. Like, and like, the thoughtful, like, gifts that you've given me, some of the most thoughtful gifts,
are you
some of the
saying
most
gifts or
gifts,
gifs, like gifs?
gifts,
Oh,
gifs.
okay, because I've
Yeah,
sent some
he
thoughtful
sends.
gifts too.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, i get
Actually,
i
no, you
get big
haven't.
time on those.
Or like the notes that you put. Like, I use this as a bookmark. Like,
Hey.
this is what you send me in my birthday gift. Like, that's like just stuff like that. So like, I mean, like I said, I try and emulate that. And and I really truly do that. You kind of you give, without asking anything in return, and I think that's big with any relationship and with any, with any person that you love or anything like that. You got to do that, and it's I use that, every there's so many things that I come back to, like, I think of you, when I'm, just interacting with other people, and like, what would Nick do, like, what would he say here and things like that. But also, like, I always come back to whenever you told me this, it was probably like last year when it was like uh the beginning of quarantine or whatever, and my roommate had moved out with his girlfriend, and I was like by myself for 3 or 4 months, and I was pretty low. I think I may have gotten like injured too, and I was just kind of down on myself. And we were talking, and you said, I always find that, you know, what helps me get out of those ruts is if you focus the attention on someone else. So, like, even in, you know, as like, even in focusing on someone else, and in return you get yourself back, but you're not that's not like your end goal. You really just, I think you just focus completely on the other person, and and if you're feeling down, ask someone else how they're doing, and try and help them, because in return that's what helps you get out of your thing. So I'm curious where you learned that, where you read that, and maybe some experiences that you've had with that too.
Yeah, I think like it totally is, man. The lowest points in my life, every single time, it's like I'm just thinking about myself. Every
Yeah.
single time. It's just, when you, and that's a skill totally, I think, to be able to which, and again, this is all in retrospect. It's not like in the moment I'm super effective at doing this, but being able to step back and examine like those thoughts and the emotions that come from those thoughts, where it's like every time for me, it's just me. You know what I mean? And whether it's me stressing about what's going to happen next week, or am I going to get this job, or like what's going on here, or like does she like me, or does she hate me, or what's, like, it's always about me. You know what I mean? And I found, conversely, some of the happiest and highest and best times of my life have been when it's totally, on other people. And it's just, like, think about like I mean, even like, you coming out this weekend for my birthday, and it's like you come out, and that's like, so selfless of you and thinking of me to do that. And like, I'm sure that made you feel great. I don't know, maybe it
Yeah.
didn't, but I mean, it's just like another level of feel good, and it's like, the more you realize that, the more it's like, well, I'm just going to give more, and
Yeah.
sure, maybe that is like at some deep level selfish because it makes me feel good, but I don't know. It's better than being, totally
Selfish
selfish
and
and
not
just,
giving. Yeah.
yeah, and feeling like shit, and nobody gets anything, right? So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, like, I don't know if it is selfish. I don't know if it's selfless, but um, like that's kind of where I come out on it, is really, um, yeah, thinking less of myself and more about other people only has done good things for me.
Mhm.
And I think, like, you do hear like the person who is like, oh yeah, like, one of my big flaws is like, I think about other people first all the time, and like it comes at my own expense. And like, that to me isn't like true giving or anything, because you're like, that's just like, again, trying to, you mentioned the ego earlier, but like trying to feed your ego by giving to other people. And so like for me, it's like selfish first. So take care of myself first so that I can better take care of other people. You know what I mean? And like in that regard, like me taking care of myself is not selfish, because it's with that aim and goal of giving it to other people. Like, I can't give my best to other people if I'm not my best.
Yeah.
And so like it is kind of this like this constant cycle of like taking care of myself, taking care of other people. That takes care of me, so I can better take care of myself, and it keeps just going and going and going. But I don't even know where this thought started, but it's just for me, that's what it is like, um focusing outward,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, and yeah, and ever since you've told me that, I've always tried to think back to that when I'm in the rut or down in a rut, and things like that. And we've talked about waves of happiness and stuff like that, and everyone goes through those roller coasters of emotion. And it's not I heard this once. I've it was from I think it was a podcast, but it's not natural that always be happy and stuff like that. Like you said earlier, like I'm like kind of like a happy go lucky guy, but like definitely go through some shit, and like everyone does. And it's not natural to just be constantly happy, because you got to experience those lows to know what the highs feel like. um
Yeah, I heard recently on like a podcast or something that like life is so much about just like the contrast,
yeah,
and if you are just like at that flat line the entire time, it's just blah, all the
yeah,
time, right? And yeah, I do think you bring up a good point. But I also think that lows don't feel good, so like
yeah.
I do think there's an art to limiting the lows and maximizing the highs for
Mhm.
sure. And I
Yeah.
think there's an art to all, not eliminating, but almost.
I think there's an art to how fastly or how quickly you can get out of those lows. You
Oh,
know what I
that's a good way
mean?
to put it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like you'll experience them and you'll have those moments, and you be present with those moments. And if you keep yourself open, you'll experience. And that's like goes into like a new earth and staying open, untethered soul, and stuff like that. But if you're in those present moments, you experience that stuff, you let it come through you, and you let it go. You know that's what that's how different people can do it, more quickly than other people. Whether than rather than staying on those lows, or letting them sit inside of you, and kind of burn away at different things. But I'm curious, we were talking a little bit about happiness and highs and lows. Do you have like a definition for happiness?
You put me on the spot here. um I think we should put a pin in this, and we should talk
Okay.
about this next time. And I'll come
Okay.
I'll come back with a good answer. I'll put some thought into it.
We'll write it down.
Yeah, I've heard like
I've
no,
heard a few. I've heard a
yeah,
few.
I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to. It's like yeah, I don't, yeah, yeah. We can get
It's
to
a
it. We can get to
broad
it next time.
topic. It's
Yeah.
definitely a broad topic. But I'm just kind of trying to segue into different things. So if you got anything from what we were just talking about, let me know.
All right. I'm gonna I have not I wanted to share this earlier, but
This
I'm gonna
also
share with
started
you.
with just important to note. This started with one single question about traditions. That whole 30-minute rant or whatever, which was
Man,
great.
we're pretty good at this podcasting thing, I think.
I think we
Golly.
are.
Shoot. All right. So my guy Ivory, I work with him. He's a cool guy. But
I
he
don't
shared
think
this quote the
I've
other
never
day.
heard you talk about Ivory.
Oh, come on, man. I talk about my boy Ivory all the time. No, he's a cool guy. But he's very insightful, and he brought up this quote. I've actually never heard it, and it's I feel like most of the quotes you hear at least once. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them turn into cliches. You hear a lot of noteworthy quotes at least once. Everybody loves quotes, but I've never heard this before. All right, and it kind of goes back to this will put a nice bow on what we've been talking about. It says, I was thinking one day and I realized that if I just had somebody behind me all the way to motivate me, I could make a big difference. Nobody came along like that, so I just became that person myself. Pretty
Okay.
deep, huh?
Pretty deep, yeah.
I like it. And that's kind of like it's a little different than what we were talking about, because that's like, we could get into motivation all day. I'm on the Goggins side of motivation. I think it's garbage, like
it's temporary. That's what he
it,
says, right?
he just, yeah, it just comes and goes. It's fleeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Which here's another, all right, we're gonna segue here. Here's the
Segue into
thing,
motivation.
a little bit, yeah. And this is a really important point that I think about a lot, that I don't think a lot of people understand when it comes to I think anything, but I will I'll use it for like reading, like habits that I think I've developed well, like reading, we're I think I read like over an hour a day, like exercising, which I do every day. And I'll just use those two because I think those are two important. I think if you could develop reading and exercising, like you're going to develop a lot of really good things, right?
Yeah.
Motivation, I think, is so important. And I think you need to understand how ephemeral and how fleeting it is. What I mean by that is like if it's 9 a.m. and you get this spark of motivation to go like work out, you should go work out, because like that's not going to last all day. I think what a lot of people do is they get this juice to go work out and they're kind of like, oh, well, like I can't do it now because this, that, and the other, which I understand things come up sometimes, but they push it off and they say, oh, I'll just do it later today, but they don't understand that little bit of motivation is just going to disappear. It's going to leave you. Right. And so you have this kind of like little window where you can just go and do it. And then it's done for the day. But on the flip side of that, maybe it's 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever, and you wake up and you don't want to work out or you don't want to read, and that's okay. But if you know you have to do it that day, you kind of have to, I almost think you need to mine that motivation and figure out like for me, the cycle is usually this. Like I'll wake up and I know that reading first is important. And why that's important for me is because as I read, I start to get that juice to like work out. And so as I read, I develop all these thoughts, and usually those thoughts go to like, oh man, like, be my best self, blah, blah, blah. And I start to now get the juice to go work out. And I know I have to capitalize on that. So I go right then, right there, and it's just like, that's how it works. And I would say, I mean, I don't, it's hard to put numbers on it, but, more often than not, that's how it works is you have this little spark and you need to fan it and turn it into the flame quickly or it's gone. And then you, on the flip side of that, you also need to understand if it's gone, it might be gone. And, you might still have to do this thing that you want to do. And like, I've done my fair share of running or lifting or whatever without that spark. But what I'm saying is I think it's a great way for people to kind of get going and get started. And I think too often, like we let those just like go to waste completely. Like they just leave us. And then we say, oh, well, I'm not motivated anymore. And we don't go. Yeah. So kind of flipping that where, yes, you need to go when you're not feeling up to it. Totally agree with that. Agree with Goggins saying motivation's crap and you need to do it when you don't feel like it. He says, I mean, like, I don't want to do this shit. And I understand that completely. I've done, you do plenty of stuff that when you don't want to do it, and that's important. But there's also plenty of times when you have these little sparks and you just have to take advantage of them. And I think it makes it so much easier.
Yeah. You have to capitalize on it.
Yeah. That's a theory. That's a theory I've been kicking around in my head for a while. Glad we could get it out on the pod.
Yeah. This is what this thing is for. Theories. the Joey P and Nicky B theories. But no, I agree. And I agree, that it's there. And I've had those, fleeting motivational feelings. And, I do think that people, will experience those. And then, we'll push it off till the next day or, it's even like, New Year's is a big one, like everyone with New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. Oh, I'm going to wait till January 1st. Like, all right, you got all these things in your head. Comes December, November, when you're eating all that food, Thanksgiving, stuff like that. You get this spark, like, oh yeah, it's gonna be so great. I'm gonna do it. January 1st rolls around, that shit is gone. That shit is nowhere to be. Or you have it that first month in January. You have it those first couple of days, and then that shit is gone. So like, I think you're absolutely right. Where and it probably gets to the point where when you do capitalize on those moments, do you feel like it comes more naturally? Do you feel like you get more of those moments if you do capitalize on the ones that you feel?
Good question. Yeah, and so like, not to get it twisted, the expectation for me is never like, oh, well, I'm just waiting for that spark to hit. You know what I mean? Like, not at all. What I'm saying is you have to take full advantage of them when they come. because and you brought up a great point that I was going to say next is like, when they come and you are able to take advantage of them, let's just say you just wake up one morning, you feel great, you're not tired, and you're like, I'm working out today. And you go do that, and you spend an hour doing that, that puts a little bit of coin in the bank for you, so that the next day it's a little harder for you to say, I just don't feel like it today. And if you can stack enough of those days together, I mean, science has proven that's exactly how habits are built, you know? And so, no, the expectation should never be, oh, it's just, I'm going to get motivated and then I'm going to go. That's where most people falter. And that's, I think, what Goggins is saying when he says it's crap is the expectation cannot be, oh yeah, I'm just going to wait for my motivation to come in. The expectation should be, I'm going to do this one way or another, but hopefully it'll be a little easier today. Hopefully you could say whatever you want, the stars are aligning or whatever, that today I'm just going to have that little bit of extra juice that's going to help me. You know, but certainly there's days where you sit there, you're staring at the shoes for 20 minutes. You don't want to do it. It's cold. It's raining outside, but you go do it anyway. And those days are incredibly rewarding once you're done, you know, but yes, to your point, you do it once, it's going to be easier the next time. And it's also, like you said, you're probably going to get a few more of those motivational moments as things go on, you know, and like I kind of said too, like reading in the morning helps me find that those little sparks that now jump me to the next positive thing. I've heard it called habit stacking before, where like you know, one good habit behooves another good habit, you know, and it's so on and so forth, where you exercise today, then you want to eat a little bit better tonight. Well, eating a little bit better tonight is going to help you get up early tomorrow, and you get up early tomorrow and you have a little more extra time. So now you can do a little bit of reading, and then you read, and that gets you juiced up to exercise, and then you exercise again. And now you're starting to see results in the mirror. So you want to eat a little bit better, and you keep going and going and going. And now all those habits are kind of just like working together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's multiple ways, you know, multiple different things that I could bring up about different things that you said. Um, but with that's interesting, the reading before working out, and I'm a big routine guy, or you know, I try and stay on a routine, and you know, we've had conversations about different routines and stuff like that, and that's something that, you know, I'm curious. But my thing is, you know, I've always been the workout first type of, you know, morning, where you know, I try and get my shit in as soon as I wake up, and then you know, once I, you know, get my day going, I feel like I'm more awake and things like that. I also, you know, have a problem with falling asleep when I'm reading and other things. So, so that just might be something that I need to do first. But you
See,
know, I
I
was
think
also
you're a mind before body guy, and I think I'm a, or no, you're a body
a
before
body
mind
before mind
guy,
guy.
and I think I'm a
Yeah.
mind before body guy,
Another
and I
reason why I
think
do
that's
it,
important too. The
yeah,
difference.
another reason why I do it is because, like you mentioned in earlier, you know, when you push things off, you know, throughout the day, or even if you know, schedule something throughout the day, I always tend to, you know, see things come up, or you know, I'm not a big like eat before I work out guy. Like I don't like to have a full stomach, so I'll always be like, you know, should I work out now? But I'm starving, like I haven't eaten anything, and like, you know, or someone calls me, like I got to take care of something really quick, and that just ruins my workout. So I'm a big morning first, you know, get up, get your workout in, get your sweat in, and then you can get, you know, tackle the day. You know, and I like to try and get, you know, at least a little bit of reading in every day, even if it's like a passage or two. So, and I need to do more of that 100%. But with the stacking of the habits, and I guess also, you know, just habits in general, I find it difficult sometimes when I break a habit, and I think we've had this conversation before. When I break a habit, say I've been, you know, going strong for a month of working out, you know, in a routine, blah blah blah. I break a habit for one day, 2 days, 3 days goes by, 4 days, and I'm just like, all right, this is a wash. It's never going to be back to normal, or it's going to get, you know, harder and harder each day goes by to get back to where I was. And then that's just, I think that gets into like, you know, self-talk and things like that, where I just like, it just completely wipes out the whole habit for me. And I've seen that happen with a couple of different things in regards to, working out and reading and things like that, where my routine and stuff just gets, basically blown up because, I miss a week or whatever like that. So I don't know how you do it, and if your routine changes a lot, or what you kind of do. How do you, consistently just, I also think that, like, in the back of my head, it's like if I'm do I really want to do this, or, like, the same exact thing for the rest of, and I know it would be great for me. I know it would be, absolutely fantastic for my body, for my heart, my soul, if I'm reading every day, if I'm working out every day. But it's like that, monotonous, like, like, I'm a huge routine guy, but I also hate monotony, and I hate,
Mm.
like, consistent, like, things. I'm also, like, a very spontaneous person, so, like, it kind of works against each other. So I guess there was, like, a couple different questions in there, but, like, when you break a first, I want you to answer that one. When you break a habit and you see yourself kind of getting off path, how do you get back on? And then also the difference, the contrast between, routines and the benefits of those, but also, like, what if you're a spontaneous person? What if you don't like the monotony of things? Like, how can you kind of mix it up?
Yeah. All right. This is one of my biggest rules in my life. And I don't want to call it like a rule. I don't think like I live by rules, but like what I'm saying is I think for myself, for the habits that I've built, um, the most important principle is to not let one day turn into two.
Mhm.
And you could use any unit there. Basically, one mistake like cannot turn into two, because that turns into 3, 4, 5. So I mean, take this like, for example, if you want to exercise consistently, if you exercise one day and then you miss the next day, that's okay. Because if you just exercise the day after that, you're back on track. I mean, if you think about it this way, if you don't exercise at all and you just stayed on that pace for the entire year, you exercise, then you slip up and you miss that day. But then you say, you know what? I'm getting back to it. And you exercise the next day. And then you slip up again and you exercise the next day. And you do that for an entire year. You worked out 180 times that year.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so like the thinking that like one missed day or one bad workout or one vacation where you didn't work out at all is like going to ruin everything that you built is so false and so common. And it's like, um here's a funny example is like, I remember one day, working out and like really getting into it in college, right? And like, doing the lifting program and I have like my days all scheduled out for the week. And I go to the gym one day and I just remember being so tired and so unenthused to be there that I put the seat down in my car and I just slept in the parking lot, right? For like 30 minutes. And then my alarm hit and I was like, all right, I'm gonna set this alarm 30 more minutes. So I sleep for 30 more minutes. That's an hour. And then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go to sleep, shut off this alarm. So I slept in the parking lot of the gym for 2 hours and then I just drove home. Didn't work out or anything. You know what I mean? And like, what a failure of a day. You know what I mean? Like I was supposed to go, I had this workout plan, all this stuff. And, I felt like an idiot. I just went in the parking lot, I slept and I drove home. And it's like, I didn't work out that day, and yeah, I beat myself up a little bit that night, but I woke up the next day and I just drove back to the gym and worked out. And that was all there was to it, you know? And it's like, all it is now is a funny story, and I think for so many that could be funny story becomes this complete derailment of whatever they're trying to do, when in fact all you have to do is just move on to the next thing,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And
Yeah,
so
I think I get stuck on the failures, or like the failures of days, or like the unproductive days, and I kind of just get stuck on that. And then it goes back to self talk. Like I said, it's just, I'm always in my head. It's just, I'm a big thinker. I'm a big, like, I feel like I do it. Some people can be outside of their head a lot. I feel like I'm in my head a lot. But anyways, yeah, I think it gets back to just kind of just letting it go,
yeah.
which is what I need
Yo,
to
I
do
did that. I
more.
did that shit the other morning. I mean, I woke up at 7, ready to like get after it. And like, I was just so tired. And, you know, my plan was to like, all right, I'm going to go to this coffee shop. I'm going to sit and read for like an hour and a half. I'm going to do some work and then I'm going to work out or something. Right. And I,
Mm.
you know, had all these things that I wanted to do in my head. And I was just sitting outside the coffee shop for like 20 minutes, just like it completely paralyzed in indecision, you know. And finally I was like, all right, look, just go in there. We'll get a cup of coffee, sit down, maybe open up the book, see if we can like just read a little bit. And literally it was the action of just opening my car door and starting to walk in the coffee shop that just jump started the whole day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then from there, my computer's all freaking out. From there, it was walked in the coffee shop, got a coffee, ended up reading. Same thing happened that I was describing earlier, where it's like that spark kind of gets going, you know. And then I have like one of the best runs I've had in months. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and 2 hours later, just because, you know, it was that one little decision of like, I'm gonna get out of the car and walk in the coffee shop, see what happens.
Mm.
You know, and like, I get it, how like the thoughts kind of can spiral, and suddenly you're like 2-3 years in the future, you know, thinking about like this decision that you're like,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, I just got to make this little decision right now, you know. And
It,
I totally get that.
you said something that stuck with me. Paralyzed and indecision, and I
Yeah,
find myself doing that with the smallest little shit
yeah,
too, and just like, and then it just I just get stuck, and then I'm, beating myself up about getting stuck. And all I need to do is just take one little action. And I think that that can even be on, like I say, I do it with the little things, but that can be on the
same.
biggest things too. That can be on, any dream you have. That can be on any, like, aspiration you want to do. And I think the most important thing is just action, taking action, and like just
Mm-hmm.
fucking, just like what we did with this shit. Like we talked about it in the car, and you said, all right, how do we turn this idea into a reality? I got on the plane and, kind of sat in that moment of motivation and was like, all right, I need to figure this out.
Boom.
This is easy. This is easy. This is what we need to do. I said, Nick, I'll take care of the Zoom. I figured out how to record on Zoom, which I did not know. And then I said, Nick, you take care of the YouTube because you're the fucking man on YouTube.
And I haven't
And
done that shit yet.
then you make all right, well, we still got to do that. But the action of just like, talking about it consistently over
Mm-hmm.
the next couple of days, and here we are. I mean, we've got, we're an hour in, or an hour and in, and feels like we've been here for 2 minutes or whatever. So I don't know, man. It's I see that a lot with different things, and I think the craziest thing is, I think with you and me, or, I'm not saying like, we're, the smartest people, but we've, read all these things, and like we've seen, it's a lot of the same stuff that you see in these
Mm-hmm.
books, and that you see like very smart people talk about. And even in my head, I'm like, I know the right thing to do. I know what it takes to be great at something. I know what it takes to get on a routine. I know what it takes to build good relationships. I know these things. It's just about fucking consistently doing it and staying disciplined with everything that you do. And that just comes down to every little aspect of life, I think. And it's just about doing those things consistently, and just, staying on it, and just keeping it at the front of your mind. So like, I don't know. It's just, I've come to a point where I feel like I know the right things to do. It's just about doing them. And you know what I mean? It's hard to to sit there, and that's why I think I get so caught up on when I have bad days. I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, the right thing to
And
do.
just don't, man.
I,
Just don't have bad days then. Let's just have good
I
days.
know, I know. So I don't know. I get fired up when I talk to you about this stuff, and like, yeah,
Yeah. I
these are
really, hey,
these
I
are these
really do
moments
think,
of motivation. Like I feel like I
yeah,
could
I
run
really
through a
do
wall
think
right now.
the more and more I think about it, the Nike slogan, just do it, is like one of the best, the
Yeah.
best. It really, dude, I don't know, like I find, the more questions I get asked about things like this, the more my answers just drift to that, is like, you
Mhm.
just got to do it. It's
Yeah.
like, and people hate that answer, and it, maybe it's an oversimplification, but I don't really think so. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Well, we got to get into my, I had this losing weight thought, but I think we're coming up on time here. So, and I got to pee real bad, but, I'm making a note for next time that I'm going to talk
when is
about
next time? When's next time going to be? I think we should do, I just thought of this a second ago. I think we should have actionable items that we can come back and say if we did the next time that we do this for each of us individually. And this gets back to our first point of me saying stuff to people and being holding yourself accountable, but also like I'm gonna be okay with, especially with you, and I feel like I'm just talking to you right now, even
yeah.
though there might be some other people, but I'll be okay if I, come back the next time and say I didn't do that. Like, you know what I mean? That's just like,
Oh,
vulnerability.
okay, I
I
got
think
you.
like that.
So
But so
we'll
yeah,
call
just like
them. We got to think of a name for these, and then we could kick off next time with it. That's a great idea.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So just like some actionable
Um,
things that we can set for ourselves. And then so the first one would be, I think for you, maybe we could give each other them, would be to make this YouTube page. So we'll
all
see
right,
if
all right, all right.
you've made that.
All
It's
right.
supposed to be
Here's what I'm gonna
the
do.
Nicky B and Joey P podcast YouTube page, and
Yeah,
that we can upload all these videos on.
I got that, dude. It's in the bank, man. It's in the
Start
bank,
easy.
dude.
Start easy.
Start easy. All right, I'm gonna make the YouTube page, and then I'm doing that half Ironman on Saturday. So
That's what I was gonna
I'm
bring
gonna
out.
do that.
That was on my list, which I'd
It'd
never
be
even
sick
looked
if
at.
we did a little episode in St. George, Utah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Want to make the trip?
I
We
don't
could
want
have
to. I don't
guests,
want to. I
Jake,
don't want to put
Tracy.
I don't want to put my word that I'll be
Yeah,
there.
I know.
But I did want to talk. That was on my list of things which I never looked at the whole time. Which is great. But anyways, yeah, just quickly touch on what you're gonna do this weekend and why. Why?
I'm just doing a half Ironman. It's triathlon, 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, half marathon. Why I'm doing it?
Yeah.
I just
People ask me, like, I tell them like I've ran 50 miles, like they say why, and
yeah.
that's like the first thing is like, honestly, I don't fucking know. Like I just
Yeah.
like the challenge, I think, and I like the mental aspect of it, and I just honestly wanted to see if I could do it and things like
Yeah.
that. So is that
For me,
similar with you?
and we can get into this more because I do. Gosh, so many. The more we're talking, the more I'm like, man, I got lots of theories on
I
things,
know,
man.
yeah.
So yeah, for me, it comes down to like, having a goal, working towards something. And for me, like a lot of times that's races, right? So like in 2019, it was, I signed up for the Austin Marathon in September and it was in February. So I had 6 months, 5 months to train for that. And so I set this goal of running this marathon and then I get, figure out how to best do that. And that really aligns me to do great things daily, I think, in terms of how I'm working out. Right. So then, the goal like shifts to another marathon or like, the 50-mile run that you referenced, or in this case, the half Ironman, where it's just another challenge. It is, I've done one before, so it's more now, I think, to try to go as fast as I can. And then also planning to do a full Ironman in August. So it's kind of training for that as well. So we can get more into that, the goal theory. And I think it's great and might help some people next time. But so I'm gonna make that YouTube page.
Maybe that can be my action item, is to sign up for something down the road and just have a goal.
You should do that. All right, you're gonna sign up for a race or something. I don't care what it is.
I'm gonna sign up for something. Yeah, I'm gonna commit to doing something.
I'm writing this down.
I'm doing it too. I'm writing it on my phone right now.
Okay.
Podcast notes.
All right, so I'll do that half Ironman. I'll report back, let you know how it was,
and I'll report back on the sign up and how it went. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So I guess this is the first episode. I think we're wrap. We'll get better at intros and endings, I guess. But want to leave the people with anything?
Nope. I'll see you.
I'll see you, motherfuckers. Let's go.
All right, Andy.